PrimeTime Local News, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime Local News. After months of bitter campaigning, personal attacks, and distortion of facts, it's Decision Day in America and one of the most divisive presidential elections in the country's history. Polling stations across most of the country are now open. People in parts of New Hampshire were the first to turn out just after midnight, and those in the West will be able to vote in the next few hours. Nearly 100 million Americans have already cast their ballots, putting the country on course for its highest turnout in a century. Rivals U.S. President Donald Trump and Democratic challenger Joe Biden spent the final hours of the race last night rallying in key swing states. Last night, the Lloydminster Public School Division announced that they had positive cases in 2 schools. We spoke with Todd Robinson, Director of Education at LPSD, for more.
I'm joined here with Todd Robinson, and he's the Director of Education for the Lloydminster Public School Division. Now, it was announced that the school division did have a few positive cases of COVID-19. So can you just explain this situation?
Yeah, so I mean, the last week and a half in Lloyd Public Schools has been challenging related to COVID. We've had a few cases at ES Laird, and now a case at LCHS and a case at Winston Churchill Elementary School. All of these cases are related to folks, students and staff that may have been not feeling well, sometimes with very mild symptoms that came to school that just unfortunately ended up being COVID. And once you find out about a test, you have to trace back a few days, and then you start contact tracing, and it has an impact on your school operations. So
ES Laird School will be seeing classes being canceled, so I'll get to you just to talk about that.
yes, so when public health does their contact tracing around a COVID case, they give you some direction around which students have to not be at school. In some cases, that's determined to be a whole classroom. In other cases, depending on the circumstances, it might only be a few students. With ES Laird specifically, the reason we have moved towards closing the school for the next 4 days is related to the number of contacts that were involved in the contact tracing, and just the complexity of being able to get a hold of everybody and ensure that there was no further spread with the virus. And the fact that we have a holiday next week allows us to leverage 14 days and ensure that the virus is not being spread throughout our school population. So it's a bit strategic, given the fact that we have a holiday next week. We don't take these decisions lightly, but it was felt by health and by the education community that this was the best decision for the safety and security of our students and our staff at ES Laird.
And what will be the plans going forward with LPSD regarding precautions, or will anything be changing?
Yeah, you know what, Jasmine, I think that's the thing about this. There's absolutely nothing that I would change based on what schools have in place with regards to COVID procedures and protocols. The feedback we've had from health is that everything we're doing are the right things. So there's nothing that's going to change in that regard. What needs to change is people's diligence around monitoring their own symptoms before they come to school. So we, I think, historically have all been wired to say, hey, if you have a runny nose or you're not feeling the greatest, it's okay to go to school. It's not okay to go to school anymore, given the context of our community. And I think that Lloydminster has seen an uptick in the prevalence of COVID, and that is having an impact on our schools. And so we all need to work together about ensuring that we stay home when we're not feeling well. And that goes for our staff as well as our students.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Todd.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for the opportunity.
Saskatchewan is reporting 81 new cases of COVID-19. 14 of those are in the Northwest Zone, which includes Lloydminster and North Battleford. 842 cases are considered active, 60 of those in our region. 28 people are in hospital, 2 in the Northwest Zone. There are 7 people in intensive care. Mandatory masking is now in place in Saskatoon, Regina, and Prince Albert, and indoor gathering sizes across the province are reduced to 10 people. U.S. citizens are voting today for their next leader, and here in Lloydminster, residents are getting set to vote in less than a week for the municipal election. We spoke with a returning officer on how voting will look this year.
I'm joined here with Doug Rodwell, and he's the returning officer for the city of Lloydminster. Now, we are less than a week away from the municipal election, so what is the voting process going to look like?
We've taken, obviously COVID has had us take a good look at how we're running polls. So we ran a lot of advanced polls. We're running advanced polls today till 8 p.m. and Wednesday, November 4th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. will be our last advanced poll. Monday, November 9th, we'll have voting at the Service Sports Center in both field houses, at the Wild Rose Room, as well as we're really excited, weather permitting, as long as we don't have one of those freak snowstorms come in, a drive-through poll in Bud Miller Park. That'll give voters an opportunity to vote in a safe manner from the comfort of their vehicles, and we're hoping to see a lot of traffic in that.
Like you mentioned, with the drive-through polling station, so how, maybe in more detail, is that going to work?
Well, basically, voters will drive into Bud Miller Park. They'll drive towards the BioClean Aquatic Center. They'll drive into a tent where they'll be registered. They'll drive into another tent where they'll get their ballot. And then they will drive around where they'll stop, they'll vote, and then they'll drive with the receiving deputy returning officer will take the ballot from it and put it into the ballot box. So fairly simple. It's no different than voting at any other poll, except for you'll be in your vehicle.
And for residents who are looking to vote, what are some of the eligibility for them to know if they can vote this year?
So you must be a Canadian citizen. You must be 18 years of age. You must have resided in the province of Alberta or Saskatchewan for at least 6 months preceding the election. And you must have resided in the city of Lloydminster for at least 3 months prior to the election as well. So fairly simple. The other piece is if you own assessable property in the city, you can vote as long as that assessable property is in your name. So if you have Joe Smith, and that's what's on the tax notice, and that's what you present, Joe would be allowed to vote. If it's a numbered company of 1, 2, 3, 4, Alberta Limited or Saskatchewan Limited, the individual would not be allowed to vote. So anybody that owns assessable property. The other item is if you're voting just for the school board, because we do have the school board. That's often people forget that. We have 8 candidates vying for 7 seats in the school board election. If you live in the attendance area for the school board, you can still vote if you don't reside right in the city as well.
And you mentioned the COVID safety measures at the polling location. So can you go into a little bit more detail of how that will look?
So yeah, so when people come in, they'll see a bit of a different look. When they register, they'll see that the election poll workers are wearing masks or behind plexiglass. They'll see that we have a one-way rotation through the polling station, so they'll enter through one way and exit through the other. They'll see that we have social distancing markers on the floor. You'll get a pen that you'll receive when you go to your registration. You'll maintain and keep that pen all the way through and take it home as a sign that you'd voted that day. We're obviously sanitizing, wiping on a regular basis, and we're encouraging our election workers, and we're taking breaks with them and allowing them to clean and sanitize their hands as they go through the day as well.
And if anyone is looking for any more information, they can go on the city's website?
Yep, they can go to the City of Lloydminster, so lloydminster.ca, and then /Lloyd votes, and that's where they can get most frequently asked questions, or if they have any other information they're wondering about what they need to bring for ID to the polls and that type of thing. Where the polls are located, the poll hours, and on Monday the poll hours will be from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. And after 8 p.m. the polls will close. Or if they bring their driver's license, it shows a Lloydminster address. That'll be enough to allow them to vote. Or if they bring 2 pieces of ID, government ID, with at least an address on it. Or if they don't have that, then a bank or a utility statement. And if they still don't have any of that, if they have a friend who's voting at that time that has a proper ID, they can vouch for them as well. So lots of opportunities for people to show up at a polling station and get have their voice heard.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Doug.
Thank you so much.
Students at Father Gorman are learning about the science of flight and got some hands-on experience in class. Connor Chan has more.
These 6th grade students at Father Gorman spent the day launching rockets to help teach them the main elements of flight: thrust, lift, drag, and gravity. The day offered a great opportunity to develop questions as well as get some unique hands-on learning at the same time.
Seeing it firsthand keeps them together as cohorts. We get a chance to come and actually visualize with the teacher, hopefully get them a little more engaged in asking those questions to further their science understanding.
It was really fun, honestly. We were all super excited, and then we got to come here. We've seen it on video and stuff, but seeing it in person is really exciting too.
Part of the flight unit also incorporates Indigenous and First Nations understanding of how they use flight and how it's helped them survive. By merging both scientific and spiritual teachings, students learn that both of those can coexist.
I think we can explain a lot of things scientifically with fact, but having a different way of knowing things, we want students to understand is as valid and as important in their world. So understanding something spiritually and connecting it to what we can think of as scientific fact, they're not disconnected. They're not mutually exclusive. They need to be together.
Connor Chan, Primetime Local News.
The only livestock show in Western Canada this fall is ready to go, with the Lloyd X opening its door for the Stockade Roundup. With COVID-19 stopping ag shows across the prairies, the X has been working on safety procedures for the event, and spectators will see the difference as soon as they walk in the door.
We ask that you sign in. We'll be taking everyone's temperature when they arrive on site, and just doing our head counts and making sure that we're within our parameters that we've been instructed to follow. So, I mean, we're trying to make it as smooth and as efficient and simple as possible for everyone while keeping it as an enjoyable experience, because it's been a while since people have been out.
Breeders aren't the only one missing events, as the Stockade Roundup marks the first major event the X will host since the pandemic began.
This has been really, really good and really needed for our association, and the ag industry as a whole. It's been a tough couple of months, or going on 8 months, I guess now. So it's really good to see everyone. People are just so happy and thankful to be here and for the work that we've been able to put in and accomplish this far.
450 different head of cattle will be shown throughout the event, which wraps on Saturday. Now, we're Connor Chan. We'll take a look at your weather forecast.
Thanks a lot, Jasmine. Looking at temperatures right now, still sitting at 10 degrees. The sun's kind of just starting to settle down right now, but 10 degrees nonetheless, still fairly warm. Another great day for us here in Lloydminster, of course, with the U.S. election, of course, down south. That's going to be fairly interesting to see how that all plays out there. As we look right now, 10 degrees I mentioned, but as we look at some other areas, 13 in Vermilion, 12 in Vegreville, 14 out in Edmonton, 13 in St. Paul, with 12 up in Cold Lake and Bonnyville as well. We also see 13 up in Lac La Biche, 12 down in Provost and Immaculate as well. We see 11 up in down in North Battleford, 7 in Maidstone, and then 10 in Green Lake, Meadow Lake, and St. Walburg as well. Here's a look at the satellite radar map right now. Not a whole lot of activity to report on, just mainly some cloud coverage coming its way in, and of course with that wind as well, kind of making the cloud coverage make its way here into Lloydminster, because we are expecting a little bit of some colder days and temperatures in a couple of days, as well as possibly a lot more snow that will be here to stay. Now here's a look at North Battleford overnight, -1 with a little bit of cloud coverage, going to 10 degrees tomorrow with the daytime high there, a little bit more sun and a cloud mix there. Going to Cold Lake overnight, -1 with some clouds into tomorrow with a 5-degree daytime high, with again a more cloudy day than sunny day. But as we look for us here tomorrow in Lloydminster, 0 degrees overnight and still fairly warm for the most part. We'll see 8 degrees as our daytime high, and we'll still have kind of similar sun and cloud mixes to what we had today in the last few days, but mostly more cloud coverage will be expected for tomorrow. Now here's a look at what we could see over the next 3 days. We'll have another 8-degree daytime high on Thursday there, and then we get back into the minus temperatures on Friday, but still with some more sun with that high of -3 and then a low of -5. Now, of course, we'll see later on in the 7-day forecast, some snow is expected for the weekend, and make sure you all have those winter tires on ready to go there. But that is a look at your weather forecast for now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Welcome back. The Lloydminster Community Youth Center is looking for donations to help fund the programs they offer for youth in the community. Jace Mackey has more.
I'm joined today with Michael and Hewitt from the Lloydminster Community Youth Center. Thanks for taking some time to talk with me today.
Well, thank you.
So just starting off, can you tell me how things are going at the center? What are some upcoming programs that you guys have?
Things are going well at the youth center, considering that we have so many new restrictions in place and we have to keep our attendance pretty low to meet social distancing requirements. But other than that, the programs are going well.
And obviously, with schools reopening and more kids together, how is the center dealing with COVID-19 restrictions?
Well, we have a maximum number on our attendance, so that, and we have the same kind of screening that Saskatchewan Health has at its other locations. So the kids are screened. Other than that, we are continuing to pick them up at school. As long as they're able to go to school, they're able to come to the youth center. And we're still running 32 programs a week. So we're open the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to the youth. And we also have been continuing our partnership with the Lloydminster Public School Division. So we have some groups coming on Mondays and Wednesdays. And they're just, again, same kind of protocols. We're doing a lot of cleaning, a lot of reminders about staying apart from one another, a lot of reminders about masks and washing your hands and sanitizing and cleaning your equipment after you've used it. So, but people are cooperative, and we're really impressed with the level of responsibility that the kids are showing.
Are there any upcoming fundraisers that are going to be taking place, or ways for the community to contribute to help the center?
We have a pretty good presence on Facebook and social media, and we've had a couple of fundraisers. The Canets ran a wing eating contest for us, and that was a lot of fun. And we had a steak night that was last Friday night, so the community supported us that way. But for sure, funding has been challenging through COVID. Our programs are funded by grants and donations and fundraisers, and of course, fundraisers have been challenging to do. So we're really relying on donations and grants. So we did do a mail out campaign a couple of weeks ago, and we had wonderful support from the community with that. So that's a wonderful way to support us, is through that mail out campaign. And if you're unfamiliar with that fundraiser, you could certainly call us at the youth center or at the interval home.
And can you go through some of the intended impacts that the center is going to have on youth in the community?
Sure. In all the programming that we do, which includes our programming for Wednesday nights, Thursday nights, Friday nights, and Saturday, as well as throughout the week, we have a partnership with the Lloydminster Public School Division. So we do some programming with them during the daytime. And so we have 32 night programs a week, and then we have the programs with the schools during the day. And in everything that we do, we intend that youth develop healthy relationships, that youth develop positive identity and well-being, and that youth develop the personal capacity to meet life's challenge. So that's at the base of everything and we build it up from there. And the relationships that the youth have with one another, the relationships that the youth have with the staff, the information that the youth ask for, the connections that we make in the community, they're all based on the three impacts that I just had mentioned.
All right, thanks for taking some time to talk with me today. It was great to talk with you. I'm Michael Hewitt from the Lloydminster Community Youth Center.
Now here are your stock market prices for today.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
With just over a week until the AJHL regular season is starting, teams are making roster changes, and the Lloydminster Bobcats are no exception. Evan Kenny takes a look at what additions will be made before November 13th.
Joining me today is Lloydminster Bobcats head coach and general manager, Nigel Dubé. Now, Nigel, thank you for joining me. There is a big announcement coming from you guys, from the team, and that is the addition of 3 players coming down from the WHL up until their season starts. I guess, Nigel, why don't you just say who these players are and what you think they'll add to the team?
We've added 3 players so far. Jordan Borchuk, he played for me when I first took over here. He played the second half of the year with me here, and then we've also added Mason Ward, a defenseman from the Rebels. He's a local product that affiliated with us the same year that Jordan played for us. So he's been in the system, and obviously a local kid that's come up through the Bobcat programs here at all ages. So he's another local one. And then Owen Peterson from the Winnipeg Ice. Close connection with a lot of guys on our team, and he had communication with our players of what it's like in Bobcats land here, and we had the opportunity to add him. So a couple guys with some high-end offense here that we're looking to add, and we've talked about it before. I think it's huge for us to get over that hump, and if they can kick in offensively and also be great humans while they're here with us, it's a good addition.
And now, Nigel, the last couple exhibition games are coming up this weekend. You guys take on the Bonnyville Pontiacs. Are there maybe a couple keys for you guys heading into these games before the regular season takes off?
I think it's shifted a little bit, and not that you take a different mindset to the games, whether it's game 1 or 75, but now that, it's a true preseason week here with development season kind of wrapping up before regular season starts next week. So it's one of those that, we'll continue to work on our tactical game and our systematical side of game, but making sure that guys get lots of reps, lots of minutes throughout the week. And we do everything we can to stay healthy here moving into next week. Now that the AJHL has released the 13th as a start date.
And as you mentioned, November 13th is that day, the start of the regular season. Now, Nigel, why don't you just say, what is the feeling like around the Bobcats organization? Is everybody excited for this?
Well, I think it's exciting. It's definitely exciting for everybody that's they're ready to get going and get after where the games count. And I think it's been a good start to the development season with 2 months now that we're into it. And it's one of those that guys are antsy to see what the schedule will look like. Know who we're playing against next week and stuff. So it's the same for me as a general manager, as a coach too. Is we're excited to see what lies ahead here, and I think that our guys have definitely put in the work and have done great things here. At the rink, away from the rink, and continue to do what's right to keep us going here. From an office standpoint, we keep moving forward with the 150 spectators and try and navigate through that. And we appreciate everybody being patient on the business front too as well.
And finally, Nigel, what are your thoughts on how the schedule is set up? Now, right now, North teams will only take on other North teams. Do you think that hurts you guys, or does that help you guys in the long run?
After coaching in the South, and I think it's one of those, and the North is a gruel. Like it's a tough schedule every night, no matter where you go. And you add in some travel in there that other teams in our league don't have to experience when you have to go up to GP, which is 8.5 hours by the time you're done and whatnot. So it's one of those that there was some transition even before the new schedules coming out, that the games, the North-South games, were going to be cut back this year already. That was announced last year, I think, at the semi-annual, which is about a year ago right now. So it was one of those where there was change already in the schedule. We'll see the North. We'll see more, what the schedule looks like. We just know that we have to be ready every night. No different than last year or the years before. There's a lot of games against the North, and we saw Sherwood Park 6 times already. So we're going to see them more. But we're excited to just get going. I think during these times, especially, guys are fortunate and know that they have to appreciate the fact that we're getting to play hockey here, and whoever we can play, we're going to make the most of it.
Nigel, it's always a pleasure getting to chat with you. This was Nigel Dubé from the Lloydminster Bobcats.
Now our Connor channel, take a look at your weather forecast.
Thanks a lot, Jasmine. Well, anyone who wants to get some last-minute golfing in may have to do so before Saturday, because that's the day we're finally going to get some colder temperatures and also some snow, and a couple centimeters of snow, but we'll get to that in just a bit here. But right now, still sitting at 8 degrees. As we look out west, some much warmer temperatures in areas like Edmonton and Rocky Mountain House and Red Deer, both sitting at 15 degrees right now. At Whitecourt and Jasper sitting at 8 and 9 degrees. Cold Lake up sitting at 11 degrees right now. Meadow Lake sitting at 10 currently, along with North Battleford and Melfort. 11 degrees out in Saskatoon, and then we see 9 in Prince Albert. Now, as we look up north, they continue to see some little bit cooler temperatures, but La Loche and Buffalo Narrows definitely warmed up today compared to yesterday, sitting at 11 degrees for both of them, 6 degrees in La Ronge, and then some areas like Wollaston Lake and South End are still pretty cool, sitting at 1 and 2 degrees. Uranium City and Stony Rapids way up north, sitting at -5 right now. That's the same in Fort Chipewyan right now as we look over into northern Alberta. -2 in Fort McMurray. We see -8 right now, one of the colder spots in northern Alberta right now at there. -2 in Fort McMurray and Peace River. We see 10 degrees in Grand Prairie, and then 9 currently out in Slave Lake. Now here's what we see in southern Alberta and Saskatchewan. 17 for both Calgary and in Lethbridge. 18 in Medicine Hat with 8 in Coronation, as well as 9 degrees for Banff. And then we also see 18 degrees in Swift Current with 16 degrees in Regina and in Moose Jaw, and 14 for both Kindersley and Yorkton as well, with 17 in Estevan. Now, as we look across the rest of the country, a lot of places in double digits until you get to the east coast there. -4 in Quebec City, 2 degrees in St. John, -3 in Halifax, 5 in Toronto, all with some cloud coverage. A little bit of cloud coverage continuing on into Edmonton at 13, 11 in Vancouver with some rain, -16 up in Yellowknife right now with some flurries. We also see -16 in Whitehorse right now. Now, as we look into tomorrow, it's probably the last time, one of the last few days of the week, we'll see nice temperatures sitting at 8 degrees for tomorrow. 7 in Vermilion tomorrow, with Marwayne and St. Paul following suit with 7 degrees. 10 in Vegreville and Edmonton as we go out west. 11 in both Provost and Wainwright tomorrow. 14 for Macklin. 5 up in Bonnyville, Cold Lake, and Pearceland as well. We see 10 degrees in North Battleford for tomorrow, along with 8 in St. Walburg and in Maidstone. Now here's a look at what we could see over the next several days here. Thursday, of course, we'll still see the same temperature as Wednesday there. -3 on Friday. Now we're going to start to see the cold temperatures coming back. Snow on Saturday, Sunday, as I mentioned there. Over 80% chance of snow for both Saturday and Sunday. We could see upwards, maybe possibly 5 centimeters of snow on Saturday, as well as Sunday. We could see just a little bit more snow coming, more so up to about 1 to 2 centimeters on that Sunday. -7 on Monday, and then we see -5 on Tuesday, with those lows getting back into the double digits. So fairly cold mornings coming back fairly soon. That's a look at your weather for now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Welcome back to Pet Project. Once again this week, I am joined with Becca Lawrence from the Lloydminster In District Community SPCA. How are you doing this week, Becca?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. And we have a very special guest today. Oftentimes we're showcasing cats and dogs, but I see today we have a bunny rabbit. So what's this little person's name?
Yeah, this little guy, his name is Kruger, so we went with a Halloween theme with him. And he is basically the nicest rabbit I've ever met. Normally I'm quite nervous holding on to them. I mean, I'm still on a little bit right now, but but he is pretty much the softest thing I've ever pet in my entire life. And he loves to be held. Initially picking him up, he's a little bit nervous about it, but once you're holding him, he's really good. And he's actually quite the little model as well. We did him for photography over at Kimberly Cologne Photography last week, and he posed amazingly. So he's just the best little rabbit.
He definitely does seem friendly. I will say I am very impressed that he has sat still in your arms as long as he has, because we were talking off camera as well too, and very rarely do you get a rabbit that will sit still that long, you know. So that's wonderful. So Becca, how was your event last week, the Pumpkin Paw Patch? Sorry, I probably butchered the name, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, our pumpkin patch match. Yes.
There we go. Thank you.
It went really, really well. We announced our winner yesterday, and they came and got their prize. So that was really cool. And they've decided that they're going to name the kittens that we had a part of our prize after Archie comics. So a few of them are going to be just Reggie and Archie and Betty, and so it's really good. we're going to get those names on them as well too. And yeah, but it went really well. We had a lot of pumpkins come through, which I was really happy with. And it was really fun just seeing all of the people that were participating and what they came up with. It was quite cute.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that everything went well. So people out there, if you would like to adopt one of the Archie gang, they're available now, are they not, Becca?
No, they're still in foster.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they came in for their weights today, so they still have a little ways to go. But yes, they will be up for adoption probably within the next month.
Beautiful. All right. So once again, if you want a member of the Archie gang, just stay posted. Make sure to tune into Pet Project every week, and we'll give you the go-ahead when they're ready for adoption.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And we were speaking about your next upcoming event, Becca, which people around here should be familiar with it, but you were telling me you're going to do it a little differently this year. So why don't you give us the rundown of the jail and bail this year?
Yeah. So I think really what we're going to do is we're going to find people that want to participate, but this year, obviously with the COVID regulations and things like that, we want to keep it as safe as possible. So we're really going to go around and we're going to take photos of everyone that wants to participate, and we'll put that up on our website so then people can still donate towards those people, and we're going to get them to share it for us and get the word out, things like that. So we're still in the plan, because it's always so much more fun having everybody here and feeding everyone and just all the conversations throughout the day and having everybody come in and visit. But obviously we got to do what we got to do. And so we're hoping to aim around the beginning of December. So hopefully everything goes well. and yeah, I think that's when we're going to really plan on showcasing our jail and bail this year.
Beautiful. Well, that's so exciting. So if anybody out there wants to volunteer, certainly they can get in touch with you, Becca.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. And I always like to ask, is there any physical item donations that you're looking for right now, Becca? I know we were recently talking, you guys need blankets for kittens and things like that. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, really good. Like blankets and food, like Pet Value. I don't know if you've seen our post yesterday. They raised so much food donations for us throughout this last month. And we're so happy with that. We just appreciate them so much. And and PetSmart's right on their coattails too. We got 2 boxes full of wet food for the shelter as well. So it's good to keep. We have enough food to give to our fosters and everything like that. So that's really good. But like I would say, laundry detergent, that's a big one. Bleach we use here and there as well. So we could always use more of that. And yeah, even the smaller blankets for the cat kennels and things like that, we could always use. But other than that, we're really doing really well for food.
Beautiful. All right. So you can always drop off laundry detergent or items like that, as well as monetary donations are always appreciated. I know I always try and encourage people to go donate. So please do that for me, for the bunny, for the animals. Please do. We're all out of time this week, though, Becca, but thank you so much for joining us, and we will speak with you again next week.
Perfect. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Manage your waste and recyclables with Quick Pick Waste Disposal. 100% locally owned and proud to serve and support the communities we call home. Quick Pick, the convenient solution to avoid pollution.
I'm joined here today with Michelle Miller with the Connect Club of Lloydminster. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very good. I wanted to first ask about the Connect Club of Lloydminster, how they're helping fundraise for Telemiracle.
Sure. Right now we've partnered with 3 Trees Tap and Kitchen. We're running a rib week. So all of this week, you can go into 3 Trees and have a half rack of ribs, some seasoned vegetables, and your choice of side for $25. And some of the proceeds of that will go back to the Connect Club, which we will donate to Telemiracle 45.
And can you give me a little history of what Telemiracle is and how many years the Connect Club has helped with this?
All right, so this is the 45th year of Telemiracle. It is what we call Saskatchewan's charity. All the money that is raised stays in the province of Saskatchewan, so it all goes to the Telemiracle Foundation Board. And in turn, they use that money to help people with medical assistance and things that they need. We're kind of a funder of last resorts for the people of Saskatchewan. The Lloydminster Connect Club has been volunteering at Telemiracle as long as I can remember. We usually go and we help, we answer phones, we work security. We kind of just do whatever we need to do to help out with the 20-hour fundraiser.
And in previous years, has there been lots of support from residents?
Yes, absolutely.
And
we typically have a Telemiracle Steak Night that we host in February in conjunction with the Lloydminster Kinsman Club. And we're not really sure where that's going to go this year with COVID. We're working hard to see if we can still have that event happen. But right now, we're just looking for other ways that we can fundraise so we can still give back.
And I know you've already brought it up a little bit. What exactly is Rib Week that's starting today?
Yeah, so when talking to Jim from Three Trees, we decided we didn't want it to just be a one-day event. We wanted it to be open for the entire week so that if the one night didn't work for people, that they could go anytime during this week. So whether it's lunch or supper, and just have some more flexibility in the time that they can go.
And has COVID-19 affected any plans for Telemiracle or the fundraising aspect so far?
COVID has definitely made an impact between the Telemiracle Foundation Board, the Telemiracle office staff, and the Telemiracle committee. Everyone's just working very, very hard just to make sure that they're following the Saskatchewan guidelines when we are planning the event. Telemiracle is still going to happen. It's not going to be what we're used to seeing, but there's going to be a lot more information that's going to be coming from Brian, who is our Telemiracle 45 chair, as well as Tessa, who's our PR chair for the event this year. So I think on November the 5th, they're going to be putting a big media release out, and there'll be some more information coming.
And speaking of the pandemic, has there been lots of support for this already this year?
Yeah, we've seen lots of support. Lots of clubs and lots of individuals are looking at different ways that they can still fundraise and be able to continue to give back to Telemiracle and make sure that the show still happens and we're successful and still able to help the people of Saskatchewan.
And I also wanted to ask, what all did the Connect Club do for Halloween?
Last April, I guess it would have been, we took on a new thing with our club, and normally we do an Easter extravaganza. So of course with COVID, we weren't able to do that. So we took our bunny costume and we went out and we just wanted to get the kids excited about Halloween or Easter. So we did the same thing with Halloween this year. We dressed up in some costumes and we went down to City Hall, and we just wanted to get people excited and just to see that we're out in the community still wanting to find ways to give back and make people excited. So.
And is there anything else you'd like to add for residents to know about?
There's lots of things that the club is doing, and we're trying to find different ways that we can give back. So we're really focusing on service this year. There was a group of ladies that got together in September and went to the Interval Home and helped sort some donations. And then in October, went to help the Legion and sell poppies. And coming up in November, we're doing a food drive. So we've partnered with Lloydminster Honda to do a food drive. They've offered us the use of a Honda HR-V. So they've opened that up in their dealership. So we'll be taking donations there for the month of November. I believe it begins on the 9th of November and runs till December 3rd. So we're taking non-perishable food donations there for the month. We're just looking at ways to get creative and be able to give back. And we want the community to know that we're still here to support them. And yeah, we're just trying to get creative and have some fun.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining me today, Michelle.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, taking one last look here at your weather forecast. 7 degrees tomorrow for us here on Wednesday, 8 degrees on Thursday. So the last few days, we'll see some nice warm temperatures out there. And then starting Friday, we'll go back to the minuses at -3. And then we'll see -5 to start the morning off on Friday. -5 on Saturday, -6 on Sunday with snow, possibly up to 5 centimeters on throughout the weekend there. -7 on Monday. And then we see -5 on Tuesday with fairly colder mornings ahead.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great night.